the Labour change cannabis policy in the UK, you guys? That's right. The Labour Party has secured a majority in the UK's 2024 general election, with Keir Starmer as the leader. The Labour will form the government after 14 years of Conservative rule. However, like the Conservative governments that preceded him, Starmer is not expected to change the UK's drug policy or decriminalize cannabis. Sounds like more of what we have here, but nonetheless. Starmer has reportedly stated that he won't change the UK's drug policy, mentioning he has, in quotes, no intention of altering drug laws if his party wins the next election. Just 1 week before the vote, in an interview with ITV News, he confirmed that he is not considering decriminalizing cannabis or any other drugs and intends to keep the current laws in place. In the UK, cannabis is illegal for adult use purposes and classified as a Class B drug. It was reclassified as a Class C drug with reduced penalties back in 2004, but returned to Class B in 2009. Cannabis stands as the most frequently used illegal substance in the UK, as 7.6% of adults aged 16 to 59 reported using cannabis in the past year, according to the 2023 data from the Office of National Statistics. However, public opinion in Britain is divided on legalization of adult use cannabis, as 38% of respondents are against legalizing cannabis for adult use purposes, while 35% express support for such a move, according to a 2022 survey conducted on 1,500 respondents by market research and polling the polling firm Redfield and Wilton Strategies. The concept of decriminalization is central to the public debate on the cannabis in the UK. And while drug diversion programs are supported by both Labour and Conservatives, decriminalization is seen as a contentious issue. Drug diversion programs led by the police aim to redirect individuals caught with minor offenses, such as possession of illegal drugs for personal use, away from the criminal justice system towards alternative measures. These programs, some experts argue, are effectively similar to decriminalization, even though the UK continues to criminalize drug use possession. As being caught with small amounts of cannabis can still cause problems, disclosing a criminal record can prevent people from traveling to certain countries and restrict their job opportunities. While both the Labour and Conservatives in the UK oppose the decriminalization of cannabis and support maintaining current drug policies, some members of the Labour Party have attempted to bring the debate on cannabis decriminalization into the public sphere over the years. For example, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London and a Labour Party, announced plans in 2022 to create a program offering an alternative to arrest for individuals caught with small amounts of cannabis. However, Khan's initiative faced criticism from the UK government, as it would allow for low-level cannabis users to avoid prosecution. Even Labour leader Keir Starmer did not support the plan and joined the then UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson in criticizing it, reaffirming that he was not in favor of changing the law or decriminalization. The stance on cannabis decriminalization in the UK is quite divided amongst political parties. The Liberal Democrats and the Green Party are the only ones actively pushing for cannabis regulation. However, the Labour and Conservative parties, the main political parties, are reluctant to discuss decriminalization or legalization. Despite this, there are factions within these two parties that are more open-minded to a political debate on the issue. A different story is for medical cannabis, which was legalized back in 2018, making a significant shift in the UK's drug policy. Despite this, the industry has faced hurdles that hinder its growth. Although technically available through the Natural Health Services, the NHS, access for patients remains largely dependent on private clinics, you guys. Well, man, the UK, and I've been seeing all kinds of little different trap events happening out in the UK, and the UK has a very, very robust underground cannabis market. I know I've witnessed it firsthand, but nonetheless, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. This is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News, and what do y'all think about getting some pounds for your pounds?
I think it's very interesting how this thing is rolled out for the UK as opposed to France and other nations out there, and it'll be very interesting to see if they go to a more open and readily available market as you would expect. But as we know, as we've seen several liberal markets stumble out the gate here in America, it doesn't always happen that way.
Mm-hmm. I think Maryland, the story you just touched on, might be the only liberal market that has actually done well.
Maybe it's true. That may be true. I mean, I was
can you name any conservative markets that have done well, Jason?
Missouri.
It's not so conservative.
Missouri's conservative.
It's more centrist.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's more centrist than a traditional.
That's what a liberal would say.
We are used to radical sides, left and right nowadays. So I would say Missouri is more of a centrist. Believe it or not,
Missouri is not a purple state, not even close.
And Barack Obama and Joe Biden are more centrist in a traditional sense, but we see them as radicals.
They're radicals. So, free radicals.
Free radicals. But
I feel like I'm stuck in the middle of my parents' divorce right now.
Whoa.
Just fighting.
Your parents were a black and a white man.
Not a white man, but my mom had a short haircut.
No, but I just think it'll be interesting to watch and see how that will play out. Because I don't know much about like the.
Have you ever watched the parliamentary debates? Have you ever watched how they do their parliament? It's the most entertaining thing in politics to watch these parliamentary debates. Yeah. And they will clown on one another. They scream and they chant during the things, and the crowd and all the other members of parliament start chanting and roaring and clapping and whatnot, and it's amazing to watch.
I would rather have that than a bunch of passive aggressive liars like we do in our government.
It's almost like a political football game.
I mean, you know where they stand at least, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let them scream. If they're actually passionate about something, let them scream and work out the details afterwards.
And a lot of those politicians are just cheerleaders on the sidelines, technically.
Well, they have a winner takes all style government.
I mean, that's how all government should be.
So the pendulum is swinging the other way. I mean, you were over there last year, right, Jason?
Yeah, I was. I was out there smoking the best weed in the streets of London.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think that there's going to be like a massive change now that
I don't think there's going to be any massive change. I just personally like this story, and I like how they're hyping it up and they're talking about the change that is currently going on. And for anyone that is watching from the UK, I am more than happy to come out and talk with any conservative members of Parliament in regards on this issue, without a doubt.
Why not the Liberals?
I mean, I'm more than happy to talk with the liberals too, but I specialize in messaging to conservatives overall on these types of subjects. But and not to mention, I'm also have been to the private members only club of the Conservative Party out there in London as well, and had a couple conversations with members.
Why
as well.
not offer yourself as a vessel,
right,
for the liberals to gain more conservative support?
I think that's totally within the cards, Rico.
Okay, all right.
And we got to put it out there. I mean, I think I was there in 2018, and I think that there's a very robust black market situation going on in the UK.
It's extremely robust.
I don't know if there's more California weed in London or New York. I think it's a toss-up. So
a lot
Thailand.
of people got caught up from
Thailand,
LAX to Heathrow last year. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, they sure did. So a lot more got through, and I think we'll see what happens. I think it's really interesting looking at the health conditions that are happening in the royal family right now, and how much cannabinoids could affect those issues, and see who's going to push that through. I believe, doesn't Prince Charles also, isn't he dealing with some cancer stuff as well?
He's not going to change his mind. He's not going to budge on this.
But we see a lot of people change their minds when it's their last resort, when it's their personal health and it's what they have to lean on.
Generally, people like that that are so stuck in their ways generally are like.
I think Jenny Beth brings up a very, very valid point, because King Charles now, I don't like monarchies, don't like anything that they've ever done, but he has bucked the trend of all of the other ones in his family, and actually has spoken out about issues that affect the people. Yep. They've notoriously been apolitical since Elizabeth. Right?
I think it'll be next in line. I don't think King George is going to do anything. Or King Charles.
He's only going to be there for like 10 years, dude. Like, he is like old as hell.
King George would have done it. He was the Mad King.
Yeah, King George would have done it. Mm-hmm.
So,
nonetheless,
I'll be optimistic when it comes to the UK. I hope they get there. I hope they stay in the pro-cannabis trajectory, and I hope it speeds things up out there.
Any thoughts, you guys, on the UK and all of their cannabis dismay?
Dismay?
No?
I think it's interesting that they are in strong support of medical, but ambivalent about recreational. I think that that's a interesting perspective. It's different than here.
I feel like someone needs to have a conversation with them and tell them that there really isn't a difference between the two. The only thing that you're regulating is the type of commerce that is allowed, but there's really no difference.
They have
recreational use. Most medical professionals would ensue that it's an abuse. You're abusing a drug, right? There is no so-called recreational use of a drug, right?
Right.
Isn't that true?
I could see that. Yeah, I could see where you're going with that, Dr. Mark.
So healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've said it here on the news many times. There is no such thing as recreational use. So all use is medical.
Yeah.
But when you take it for that recreational use, I think some medical professionals, Jean, tell me if this is accurate, and maybe more so in the UK, view that recreational use as abusing a drug.
Probably.
So they would put that into that, cannabis use disorder kind of
that bullshit
mentality. And it's just super interesting because we all know that England is a place where GW Pharmaceuticals got started, right? Not where they finished, but certainly where they got started.
Very true. Well, I mean, in all fairness, that's where
they've embraced. Yeah, so they've embraced sort of like the medical application, but kind of oversteered in that direction away from quote unquote recreational use or adult use, whatever you want to call it.
Fair enough.